lot of Christians have been told their entire life that the Torah is a burden, and the Torah is,
Right.
you know, just heavy, and it's not something that. But you know, that's what I was getting at, I guess, as far as that. And I understand that's not like, oh, now you said that, I'm going to keep Torah. They have to love God. They have to want
Right.
to do what He wants to do. So I
And
want
I
to
think,
clarify that.
yeah, and I think that, on those verses about it being heavy and things like that, when they say I'm released from the Torah, I'm free from the Torah, I have to ask them. I say to them, and I get away with stuff because I'm Jewish. It's like, are you Jewish? And generally they'll say no. And I say, when were you ever yoked to the Torah? Like when were you ever? I believe that you were outside of the Commonwealth of Israel. You were outside the commandments. You were a pagan. So this thing of the fact that you've been freed from the law doesn't even apply to you. And if you really were a Jewish person who understood what Torah is, you would understand that the yoke, that Yeshua says his yoke is light. It's the yoke of men. It's the rabbinic commandments. It's those things. And we have to understand that when Paul is writing these things, especially Romans is a tough book, that he's talking about the actual Torah of God. He's talking about the Torah of man, and he's talking about the law of sin and death, like with that whole other thing that we operate under in the flesh. And I think, but we really have to say to people, and something I like to say is, let me get this straight. And everybody knows the Passover, right? They know that. Say, okay, so God took us out of bondage in Egypt. He delivered us from the most powerful nation in the world by plagues, and he destroyed Egypt to get us out of bondage, to take us through the Red Sea, and then put us right back into bondage. Is that what you're telling me? Because right after he freed Israel, he gave them this Torah that you're saying is bondage. I don't see that. I don't see that he did that. I thought it's freedom. So if you think that the Torah is bondage, I think that you're caught up in a religious interpretation or some man-made denominational something, or you're understanding what Paul was saying about Judaism and rabbinic Judaism, and we can look at those scriptures. But if Yeshua is saying his burden is light, and you're saying that God's commandments are a burden, then we have to who gets to define this? And I think that when people get away and really look at it, or you want to nail somebody on something, say, could you please pick a Torah commandment, just one, and tell me how it's a burden? Like, put it back on them, right? That's a very thing that Jewish people do, right? Answer a question with a question, or confront people with their own evidence. Say, please pick one commandment out of the Torah and tell me how it's a burden. And I think that you're going to find them stymied, and they have to get to the end of themselves. You're not going to be able to hit them over the head and get it in them.